It's senior day here at the O'Connell Center, and for 4 of the winningest in program history, it's one more chance to play together at home and to say goodbye to the O'Dome faithful.
Pass to Leighton. Chalmers for the tie. Wow! Oh my goodness! Jordan, Michael Jordan. A big finish. Dreams to come true. Oh, it almost went in. As good as it gets.
It's a great day for college basketball on CBS. Our triple header begins from the O'Dome in Gainesville, Florida, where the #1 team in the country gets set to take on the Kentucky Wildcats. And yes, it is senior day. Now, taking a look at the SEC standings, the top 2 seeds are set for the tournament, but Florida is trying to become the first SEC team to finish the regular season 18-0. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Jim Spanarkel, who scored 2,000 points in his career at Duke and also got a chance to enjoy senior day.
Well, senior day, Tom, is an emotional day, and it'll be interesting to see what Florida does in terms of whether they play through the emotions or they just kind of play basketball as usual. But their senior class is a terrific senior class with Will Yaget, one of the guys who really gets them going at the defensive end of the floor, and they really like to push it also. Casey Prather, another guy who's had a bust-out season this year and loves to play the transition offense. Down low, it's Patrick Young, who's really the anchor both offensively and defensively in the paint. And Scotty Wilbekin loves to keep the pressure on you with the basketball and also defensively.
Now, there is one underclassman in the starting lineup, and that's Michael Frazier, who, scored 37 points the last time out for the Florida Gators. Now, the Kentucky Wildcats, the guys over our shoulder, they've struggled somewhat the last couple weeks.
They really have. 3-3 over their last 6, and Julius Randle is the guy they go to. Now, he's going to get a lot of touches at the elbow and down on the blocks, but watch the Gators. They're going to try to double-team him and double-team him quickly so he makes fast decisions.
Speaking of fast, Jim, let's take a look at our AT&T Fast Analysis.
Well, one of the things on the scouting report, Tom, that you have to keep in mind is Kentucky loves to go to the offensive glass, and it's not just with 1 guy or 2. A lot of times with 3, they look for the putbacks, but keep in mind also, if they don't get the putback, they will kick it to the perimeter and look for shots. Florida, on the other hand, loves to keep the pressure on you with the basketball, and notice the second catch here. They just don't stand around with the ball. The second and third guys will put it on the floor and make you defend them. That's how you get good open looks in the offense.
Great environment here at the O'Dome. It's all about environment and senior day. The tip is coming up next. CBS Sports College basketball coverage is sponsored by Michelob Ultra, the superior light beer. Long live the Ultra Life. By Infinity, luxury cars that deliver inspired performance. And by AT&T, the official sponsor of the NCAA. AT&T, rethink possible. Head coach John Calipari is trying to tell his team, don't look at the scoreboard this afternoon and play for the fun of the ball game. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for today's game. Well, for Kentucky, they once again will start Willie Cauley-Stein. It's his second straight start after coming off the bench in the previous 9 games. He's part of that front court, which includes the very talented Julius Randle. The 4 seniors, they've been truly a story nationwide for the Florida Gators. But the sophomore, Michael Frazier, has also been a healthy addition offensively. Billy Donovan in his 18th year here at Florida got very emotional yesterday, as you would imagine, talking about this senior class and their 112 victories and how much he's looking forward to seeing them not on the court in the future, but off the court in the future.
Yeah, and the interesting thing to me, too, Tom, was the fact that emotional yesterday, and I was expecting the 4 seniors to be emotional when they were receiving their jerseys. Now, you don't know what's going on inside a person's mind, but body-wise, they didn't show me much emotion just then. It was almost business-like. Come out, get your award, have the fans cheer for you, and then it was almost like business as usual. So it'll be interesting to see how they start out.
Billy Donovan said, let's live in the moment. Well, the moment has begun as the ball is knocked out of bounds, and it will be Kentucky basketball to start the game.
And starting out Kentucky on this floor, which is a great college atmosphere, they have to get into an early comfort zone to make sure that they're dictating aggressively the offensive end of the floor.
John Calipari said to us over and over and over again this morning, be aggressive, go to the basket as much as possible.
And have fun. Now that's difficult when you have a young team out there that pressures the perimeter very nicely.
One of the guys they want to get going quickly is Young, but they'll always lean on Julius Randle as the shot clock winds down. Harrison for three, no good.
Well, here's the push at the other end of the floor, though. Florida will like to go up and down quite candidly. Both of these coaches said they might like a quicker pace.
Florida, 24% of its offense comes on the fast break. Now they settle into their offensive set.
Both teams starting out with the man-to-man. Florida's perimeter, nice backdoor cut.
And you has it blocked away by Willie Cauley-Stein 2 different times. The shot clock doesn't reset. And the rebound by Cauley-Stein.
Well, they put Cauley-Stein in there to get an old guy in there. He's a sophomore. a little veteran coming out.
Last 2 years, you see what Kentucky's record is. As Randall's first three of the day is no good. So both teams missing collectively the first handful of shots. And Prather, that's what he is so good at, going to the basket, draws the first foul.
Yeah, well, he leads the SEC in shooting percentage at 62%. And Billy Donovan just loves the way he pushes the basketball, looks for his opportunities.
Andrew Harrison called for the foul. Here's Prather, 61.8% as a senior. Such a transition from his first 3 years. And they talk about system so much when it comes to Florida and understanding your role in that system.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is, a lot of times when you start talking about system, you think that, well, we don't have great players, we just have a system. But Billy Donovan has talent on this. You know, it's a lot of different guys who have different types of talent that Billy Donovan, as great a coach as he is, has gotten them to mesh very well. And keep in mind, experience does go a long way in terms of knowing one another and the characteristics and traits that you have.
Prather makes 1 of 2, so Florida takes the early lead.
Yep, they throw a couple of different presses at you. Here's one up front. They look for a double team right there. And
Andrew Harrison stepped on the baseline.
Tom, it's the worst place to catch the ball, and that's what Billy Donovan's team wants. And Cal knows that he can't be in there. Look over here. You got baseline and sideline. They become 2 imaginary defenders. You can't go anywhere. So now all of a sudden it's a square. You can't get by. Somebody better come help the guy who's trapped.
John Calipari told us today that he felt Florida was going to be even more aggressive here at home. They're just so much more comfortable playing here at home. Frazier on the drive, leaves it down low, and a reverse for Young.
So Young parks himself down deep, and what does it allow now? That same look. They'll come back with that same type of look. If it's not there on the initial double team up front, they'll try to double team on the second wave.
There's Harrison double team. Randall, he has the ability to bring it up the floor. He's so athletic.
A good no call right there, but you're not going to hear the whistle here anyway, Tom. So we're going to make up the calls as we go.
You see those pom-poms on the bottom of your screen? That's where we're basically sitting. Young for 3. So good from the outside. He's been cold lately, but they need him to can those threes.
Absolutely.
And Young in transition.
Well, they make you pay if you're not paying attention down the other end.
There's that trap.
Yeah, a little delay trap, that trip.
Young into the paint. Floater is no good. And Rubicon with his second rebound. Prather just couldn't catch it and keep his feet set.
Yeah, that was a sneak out by Prather just then, too. He really wasn't back in the play defensively. He was hoping and anticipating that he'd get a breakout this time.
Alex Poitras checks in for the first time for Kentucky. Meanwhile, Dorian Finney-Smith, the redshirt sophomore and transfer from Virginia Tech, checks in for the Gators.
Yeah, now watch this. They're going to try to run him here or there real fast to see if they can get a double team.
Harrison twins helping each other out in the backcourt.
sometimes after you get it over half court, it's not over either.
Alley-oop for Willie Cauley-Stein.
That's the best thing you can do, too, Tom, against that trap. Get it by the guys, and then naturally, if you just do the quick math, you have a 3-on-2 or a 2-on-1 after you get by the first wave, and that's what John Calipari wants them to do. Be aggressive, but be patient and smart.
And I guess the key is recognizing that as well. First three of the day for the Gators. Devon Walker, the sophomore, with his 19th three of the year. Young trying to answer, and it's an offensive foul.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of play that John Calipari does not want Young. I mean, at half court, you could almost feel that he was going to try to drive that all away, and guess what? 3 defensive players, including Young, were just waiting there for it. Watch this drive to the kick out. They park themselves in the corner so well, get the look, nothing but bottom.
So Florida on top 8-5. The Gators have made 3 consecutive field goals. And again, Young finds his way along the baseline. He has 6 quick points. And a hand-checking foul called on the Gators.
Yeah, that's exactly what, Cauley-Stein is in there in terms of being a guy who's supposed to anchor the back and not allow those easy catches along there by Young.
Well, Patrick Young has had such a great career here at Florida. He has scored over 1,100 points. There were so many expectations for him once he arrived here in Gainesville. And he had to plow through those expectations. And he's really a different player now than when he was as a freshman.
Spends a lot of time in the community, too. Takes the time to be around the community, an academic All-American, so very, very well-rounded.
Posted in for the first time. John Calipari said he's going to have a big role here today for Kentucky. Poitras on the drive, stripped away by Chris Walker.
See, Tom, one of the things with this press, and we've seen it just then in that play, I'm not so sure there was a move there. It was double team. Poitras couldn't get through. Catch it, hold it, and see what happens.
Bakari Johnson with the kick outside. The three is good, and the foul. Well, that's got to make Kentucky feel great that James Young, struggling so much recently, 1 for 10 from 3 in the last game, has made 2 to start.
Exactly, and it goes inside out too. You make them pay when they are double teaming down deep. Just get ready to shoot the basketball. Young has put up some big nights. He has 19 against South Carolina this year. He had 19 in the first game, 7 of 10, by the way, against Florida in the first game.
From the free throw line, a 67% free throw shooter. He misses, and Walker with the rebound.
Billy Donovan using his depth. I think it was smart to get some of the seniors out after 3 minutes because these guys, their hearts are pumping. Look up.
Chris Walker, who missed the start of the year, so much was expected from him, and he's starting to settle in a little bit more. Meanwhile, for Young, another 3 attempt, no good, but the offensive board by Kentucky. And a foul on the floor against Walker.
Well, you're going up and down. You better be ready. Nice little penetration in the finish. Florida comfortable on their home floor.
The NFL Network.
Boy, I love that, and I'll tell you why. I like to shut down my week on Thursday nights now, so to glide into it. I love the fact that they're having it on Thursday nights to really prep for the weekend.
It's a great start to the weekend. 15:38 to play first half. The Florida Gators #1 in the country right now. Let's take a look at their tournament profile. They seem to be pretty set for the NCAA tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're going to get in, and I think when you look at what they've done, they've beaten good wins in terms of Kansas, Memphis. How about the losses, too? At Wisconsin, at UConn, 2 teams that are blemishes on their record, but boy, not embarrassing to lose to either of those 2 teams, home or away.
John Calipari told us today that for Florida coach Billy Donovan, what has made them so good this year, they've had so many tightly contested games, and they've been able to win those games, which has built their confidence as a team.
Right, so they know that down the stretch, if they pull together, and Billy stresses this a lot, team, if they work together, he says it could be one mistake or one good play that's the difference in a game, so stick together.
Harrison takes the inbounds, goes down low to Johnson, who's immediately double-teamed once he puts the ball on the floor.
Have to get it out of that corner.
Johnson backing his way into traffic, forces his way up, and it's Florida ball.
Yeah, it all starts with bad positioning in that corner right there.
In transition, the Gators Wilbekin, he's the floor general. He's one of the best in the SEC as far as being a floor general goes, and in the country.
Yeah, he keeps the pressure on you both defensively, but also with the basketball offensively.
But he's hit for three.
Shoots it at 30%, little post back, hits the post, and then sprays out.
So 6 assists, 6 field goals right now for the Gators. That's share of the basketball.
Yeah, and that's a comfort zone, too, early on. And their home floor expected, and I don't see any of this senior rattles here today so far. There's limited emotion from a senior perspective.
Now for Kentucky, you figure they've got to get Randall involved. He does that well where he drives to the basket. He gave up the ball, and Florida forces the turnover.
Good luck.
Shot a little too long, and Polson's fouled from behind by Casey Hill. Bracket games are now open. Create your group or compete against the nation for a trip to next year's Final Four. Join now at CBSSports.com/brackets. One of the greatest times of the year. The NCAA tournament is just a couple weeks away. Next Sunday, of course, Selection Sunday. As Patrick Young checks back in, so does Will Yeguet for Florida.
Yeah, I can't wait for the NCAA tournament to begin. Got a couple of tournaments before that, but it just captivates the world now. Never mind the country.
Kentucky trying to slow down a 10-3 Florida run. Gators lead by 7. Harrison real strong through the defense. And the ball knocked out of bounds off the hands of Johnson.
Yeah, it may also have hit Harrison, who was still out of bounds, but that's what Billy Donovan wants to stop. He wants to stop that penetration. And John Calipari looking for a call down the other end.
Well, the officials have certainly let them play through the first 6 minutes of this game. Patrick Young has helped dominate the points in the paint for Florida. And Harrison with the strip. Wilbekin, right place, right time for Florida. And then the foul called against Andrew Harrison.
Yeah, there's a Young foul right there by Harrison. Wilbekin's coming away from the basket at 30 feet away. Why foul him at that point? Good, strong double team, though, right in here to take Patrick Young out of his play. And then Wilbekin, watching the play after the entry, stays with it.
So a fresh 35 for Florida off the foul. Wilbekin, the alley-oop. And the rebound by Randall.
I think those two guys have played a little together.
I think so. And a traveling violation called on Aaron Harrison, who had 20 points the last time these two teams faced each other.
There's a fine line, too, Tom, in terms of that play just then, in terms of catching it and analyzing what's going on the fly, compared to just going randomly. And I think that's one of the things that Kentucky has to do. Slow it down just a touch, because if you have those numbers, if you break the press, there'll be opportunities. Just see them develop a little more.
And individually, if they go one-on-one with, let's say, a Florida player, they have the upper hand most times, don't they?
Yes, because they have the advantage on that catch initially.
You get off the pass from Young, and they'll go to the free throw line.
Well, that's good work. Double team comes at them. What do? They hit the blocks. And don't just stand there watching your block player get defended and double team. But watch now, when they double team, they'll come in here with the double team low, and they'll look for it, but they don't get it quick enough, and that's when you cut to the basket.
The numbers for Will Yeguet. He's a 67% free throw shooter. Andrew Harrison checks back in for Polson. Yeguet, of course, part of the senior class, which has won 112 games during their time here at Florida. He's battled a lot of injuries during his career.
So important for this team on the press also. Here they come again. Not going to pull back the throttle at all.
And Hill with the near steal. And it remains Kentucky ball.
So when you catch the basketball and you're headed towards that corner, you have to expect that somebody's right up on your hip.
The thing about Kentucky, they do have several guys that can handle the basketball if they need to play catch in the backcourt.
Yeah, but do you want to handle the ball?
Well,
one of the questions too, right?
Kentucky's got about 3 minutes without a bucket and another turnover, this time a double dribble.
Yeah, they're making young mistakes right now. They are in the category of being rattled on Florida's home floor right now. So they really have to figure out a way in a hurry to settle down. And You might say, well, that's pretty easy to do, but young team, first time here for just about all of these guys who are playing. And as we've touched on, the atmosphere is a little noisy.
Yeah, the students are on spring break, but you'd never know it by all the students that are here. Patrick Young with his runner, and he's fouled going up. He'll get a couple of free throws. Little hook shot from Patrick Young. Cauley-Stein called for his first foul. Patrick Young was saying before the season started, he said, I've been focused on doing whatever I can to be more connected to my teammates, as he misses the first, and part of that has led to the success of this senior class.
Well, you take a look at it, just staggering numbers. 112 wins, the second bullet point right there. Second, tied for second in the most in school history. Been a terrific run for these guys, and once again, when you look at the man-to-man talent level on this team, I'm not sure it's the greatest, projections to the next level, but you take a look at these guys right now, and they sure play well together as a team.
See the drought, Jim. The drought's nearly 4 minutes for Kentucky.
I think Kentucky, Tom, was just happy to get that across half court just then without a whole lot of bumps and bruises. Look at the quick double team. Swing it now.
Harrison from 15. And they don't allow the offensive board. Florida, that is.
Well, Florida's a pretty good defensive rebounding team also.
Harrison with the tip, and Wilmington tracks it down. He started that lead a little short of the basket. And now Harrison in transition is fouled. Well, it would have been pretty if they let him a little bit more to the basket, but for Florida, a good start. Up 17-8. Wildcats down by 9, and there's no doubt that Coach Cal wants to win. But what is his priority? We find out in Planning for Success, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Do I want to win games? I want to win every game. Do I want to win championships? I'd love to win 11 in a row. National titles, that would make. But bigger than that, are we having an impact on the kids? I love these kids, and whatever's right for them, I'm going to do. Even if it's hurting me in the program, I'll deal with that after.
There's no question about that. We were talking to him earlier today, and on the dry erase board, he made a point of putting a quote up from himself saying, I am here with you.
Right.
And it's because of all the distractions and everything that Kentucky players have to go through on and off the floor.
Well, when you think about it, how this has changed over the last 15 or 20 years, you have these young kids come into programs like at Kentucky, like, my alma mater, Duke, Carolina, Ohio State for Clark Kellogg, who's in the studio today. There used to be enough pressure to deal with just coming to these schools. You look at Kentucky with the tradition that they have. There's pressure just to perform as a young guy coming in for your school. The fact that these young guys are looking to the next level, in my estimation, way too soon, 95% of them, is a distraction. I think this year, John Calipari really has to figure out, coming down the stretch here, how does he get them all focused and thinking as one?
Well, he points to a game like this that could be the game that puts them over the hump if they're able to pull it out. They trail at 17-9. They just ended a scoring drought that lasted about 4.5 minutes.
A little bit of a zone look now for Kentucky.
You like that?
Yeah, I do. I think you have to change it up. Make Florida think a little bit. Get them out of their rhythm.
Prather look down low. Instead goes outside. Three is good.
A lot of teams make the mistake, though, Tom, of putting a big guy in the middle of the floor. They're putting guys who can handle it and make decisions. It's going to be tough if they get it to that free throw line.
So Finney-Smith has 2 threes so far. Randall double-teamed again.
Look at this double team. There you go. Put it on the deck.
And Harrison, they call a blocking foul against Florida.
I think that's a good call, too. And it's a good attack. Well, you take a look right in the middle of the floor. That's where it's going to happen, right in here. And that gives him all these opportunities. He can turn. He becomes what they call a triple threat. I could shoot the ball, I could dribble it, or I could pass it. Then he also can go left or down low to the blocks. It's a simple thing in basketball against a zone, but you see zones and you should pick it apart. But don't run a big guy in there, Tom, who can't do any of that stuff.
Harrison makes the first free throw. I'm going to mark that down for my retirement when I settle in as a coach, because I would have put a big man there at the free throw line.
I never put a big man. I flash the small guys, and you look at Florida's personnel when they have their starters on. You don't want Patrick Young. Man, you want Patrick Young where? Down below, catching the ball where he's efficient. Get one of your wing guys, run a guard through there who can make some plays happen.
Drew Harrisonburg makes both free throws. An excellent free throw shooter. See the foul situation.
That's what you want to do when you retire, huh, Coach?
Well, I don't have any hair as it is, so I might as well.
You don't have any losses over here either on the at the broadcast table.
9-point lead for the Gators. Again, the zone defense by Kentucky with Cauley-Stein in the middle and Randall at the wing with Young down low. Good hands by Cauley-Stein. And the steal from behind. And Young's foul going up.
And unfortunately for Frazier, he makes a good play right there, and then Billy Donovan's player turns and throws it towards the other team's hoop, which is the number one no-no, right, that we know in terms of saving the basketball out of bounds.
Well, for Wilbekin, that's his second foul. Young to the line, 67%. Monday, Dave's All New with Senator John McCain, plus Aaron Andrews. And later this week, The Big Bang Theory's Melissa Rauch, followed by Craig Ferguson, only on CBS.
The little things, too, making sure that you hit your free throws on the road. They all add up.
Well, Kentucky 5 of 7. Their last 5 points have come for the free throw.
Right, and the key there is getting to the line, too, especially on the road. To stay in this zone, too.
Nearly halfway done with the first half. That's a tough alley-oop pass. And Young was shadowing Chris Walker and didn't allow him to get any kind of position.
And Frazier was kind of just stuck on the right side there. Kentucky has to pay attention to his long range.
And now Kentucky can make this a 5-point game, or if they're able to nail a 3, a 4-point game, as this game settles down a little bit more.
Wow. Every time Randall catches, is he getting double teamed.
Young for 3. It's good. That's 3 here in the first half.
And that's what they have to do in terms of making him pay. They go down. They're going to double team Randall. I think you may see Billy Donovan step away from that the next trip or two, not to double team him because he hasn't really done much at all yet.
It's amazing to think how many people from Kentucky said to us, the key is going to be Young. The key is going to be Young early on. He's made 3 threes. Harrison from the corner. What a decent look.
Yeah, I take that shot. You may not get a better one.
Hill. Prather. An interesting shot, but Casey Prather's really worked on that pull-up jump shot.
He sure has, and he's had a really good year in terms of increasing his scoring ability. Up to 15, he averaged about 6 last year, but that was a breakdown with Kentucky defensively there. They were unsure of what they were in.
Harrison from just to left of the free throw line. The offensive board, though, by Randall, and he's going to go to the free throw line.
Yeah, don't even delay going up there. Well, where is everybody? Nobody's home. They're all watching defensively and get an easy 15-footer from the elbow.
Well, the foul is called on Walker.
Some of these guys look gassed already. The emotions in this building.
That may be part of the emotions, the anxiety, all those things. Both coaches talked about that.
Yeah, and that's the thing you can't calculate with kids, right? How their anxiety level is going to work, especially if it's an internal one. If they're not real vocal, they could be brewing inside, and you have no read on it. Next thing you know, they go out there and they can't go for it.
Julius Randle, 6 double-doubles. In his last 7 games, he's averaged a double-double the entire year, 10th in the conference in scoring, 1st in rebounds. Usually a pretty good free throw shooter, too, and he misses 2.
Yeah, about 73%. They needed one of those.
Finney-Smith has made 2 already. And Johnson falls out of bounds.
Just a touch of a push there by Young. Patrick Young from behind that might have gotten his momentum going towards the baseline.
Dakari Johnson had been starting for Cauley Stein. He's coming off the bench now, and now Cauley Stein will check into the game for Julius Randle.
Last time out, Johnson put up some good numbers. His 9 points in 15 minutes, 4 of 4 from the floor.
Well, his high school teammate, Casey Hill, has the ball up top for the Gators. Bounce pass to Young.
Young's so good at watching the basketball, such a simple concept. Let the guards do what they do, drag people with them, and then find an opening. What a crusher that was.
He could have slammed it 2 different times. If he had fumbled it, he would have slammed it without reversing it.
Guys like Patrick Young will make me happy to be sitting alongside you. Little zone look right now, so don't be stagnant. Down to 10 seconds.
Shot clock down to 5.
Do they see it or not?
Colson finally does. And Young just smothered it.
That was just bad recognition by Kentucky in terms of seeing what the defense was. It took them 25 seconds to figure that out.
It's an 8-point lead for Florida. Gators have shot 60% in this first half. And Colson called for the foul. Well, this big man has really dominated the paint so far for the Florida Gators. Patrick Young has lived inside, and he's lived well. Take a look at our game summary. 9 assists, 9 field goals so far for the Florida Gators. Patrick Young has been really a joy to watch inside for the Gators.
He just understands his teammates and what they do and what their strengths are, number one, and then he reads what they're doing. It's nothing fancy. It's just basic basketball. But wait and watch the ball, and he does it so well. He runs the floor. Terrific athlete, and not afraid, as we see, to mix it up down deep. So good looks by him, and so far it's a young man's game here, I guess, with him. And also on the other side with James Young with 11 for Kentucky.
Leave-off for Kentucky, Julius Randle. He's worked hard, but he's been double-teamed feverishly. He's only gotten 2 shots.
Exactly, and the shots he has gotten, if you recall, have been a little bit of a force through the middle. So, you know, Billy Donovan has to probably stay with that now down the stretch here with 7:10 left in the first half. But if somebody gets a hot hand or two, that's going to be the reason. It's going to be the double team that's going to allow Kentucky to kick it out.
All right, after the foul and the timeout, a fresh 35 for Florida, but Young's going to use maybe 3 seconds of that 35 for his 11-point.
Cauley Stein, a shot blocker, wasn't a factor defensively.
Harrison double team, ball knocked away. Finney and Hill, Finney Smith and Hill, both were in there. Here's Frazier for 3.
John Calipari said not to look at the scoreboard today, but he's got to look at it right now because he's got to be careful that Florida doesn't put them out with a knockout punch in the first half here.
A timeout called by Kentucky. Frazier, the sophomore, still lighting it up. Yesterday at shoot-around, and we've talked about this a little bit, Billy Donovan was saying that he was concerned about how his seniors would respond to the very emotional day that is senior days. And sometimes you go through a fog for the first half and you're down by double digits. They've cleared that fog out in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I was going to say, if this is a fog, I can't wait to see when it gets sunny and clear in here to see what, and I know Kentucky doesn't want it to get clear in here.
Kentucky just 4 of 16 from the floor so far. 1 field goal inside the arc.
Yeah, I just think Billy Donovan in this building recognizes, and he won't say it, I'm saying it, that he feels that I think that it's easy to rattle young guys on this floor, so go right after them.
Cauley Stein off the feed from Young and a turnover.
Yeah, there's another one. That's usually a dunk for him. Upstairs.
Cauley Stein, such a great receiver in high school, wide receiver, and he was a defensive back on that one. That's the kind of shot Julius Randle's had today because of the pressure on defense.
Exactly, and you notice a guy who's a strong lefty player going to his right just then. Can't convert it.
And checking foul called on Randle. That's the 17th foul.
Kentucky is trying to take this collective breath, but Billy Donovan is going deep with his bench and smartly making sure that he has fresh guys in there and not letting the time, the anxiety, the senior moments catch up with this team. Even though they put that behind them, you can just see guys, you look right now at the free throw line, these guys are really expending themselves.
Prather will check back in. Devon Walker checks out. Patrick Young catching his breath on the Kentucky side of the floor. As Dorian Finney-Smith, the transfer from Virginia Tech, goes to the free throw line. First for front into the 1-and-1. He makes the first. He'll get a second. And he gets a friendly bounce. You again will check back in for Finney-Smith.
Yeah, and every score, free throw or made field goal, allows the Gators to set up their defense again. Who wants the basketball? Who can get the basketball?
Aaron Harrison finds his brother Andrew on the inbound. So now Kentucky will settle into its offense. Andrew Harrison off the high screen.
Yeah, Young is so good at defending that pick and roll out front.
Is that because he's athletic?
Athletic and smart at the same time. Or I'd say smart and athletic because he's a smart kid.
Foul is called on Prather. That's his first. Patrick Young, when he arrived at Florida, Billy Donovan said, folks, compared him to Dwight Howard. And if he had come out after his freshman year, and he conceivably could have,
right,
he would have been a higher draft pick than he's going to be after his senior year. He said, but he made a decision that emotionally and mentally he did not think he was ready. This is Patrick Young talking, ready for the National Basketball Association.
Well, to that point where he's a smart kid, he analyzed that pretty intelligently, and I think when you do that, when you have somebody help you put your expectations and realizations in terms of trying to figure out what you want to do in your dreams in the right compartment, then usually better decisions are made. You just can't let the emotions of people telling you you're a great player, because unless you're ready, you're not ready.
Aaron Harrison, an 82% free throw shooter, makes the first and now the second. Kentucky now 4 of 7 from the free throw line. They made it a 13-point game. Their largest deficit that they have faced this year, 2 different times, was 16. They were on the doorstep of that a moment ago, but those two made free throws have calmed things down just a little bit.
And those deficits have not been in this building.
You get down low, spins around Randall. Randall diving to the floor in the battle for the loose ball. And the possession remains with the Gators.
Well, a little bit of a swing. You go to that little driving hook shot like that, you better turn your shoulders, and then the hustle starts taking over. Good work by the officials. Blow the whistle. Didn't look like there was total possession right there, but you don't want anybody getting overzealous.
5:05 to play here in the first half. Young, most of his points, all of his points have come in the paint.
Senior day is looking pretty good.
Senior day is looking like Patrick Young day.
Exactly. Turning it into what could be a long night, never mind afternoon.
Oh, foul called against the Gators after the made shot. So it means Kentucky will get a free throw. I should say 2 free throws. James Young to the line. Pretty sweet stroke by James Young. 67% for the year. They have just 1 field goal made in the last 11 minutes, 23 seconds, but they've gotten some points from the free throw line. In fact, the last 4 buckets have come from the line to make it a 33-20 game.
Yeah, it has been a work in progress this half so far for Kentucky. And they're going to show a little full court action themselves right now. And sliding back. Totally different looks. Looking for a little delayed double team if they can get one.
And Will speeds right by the double team. Frazier.
That's what you're going to pay, right? Frazier coming off a remarkable night of 37 points. Today's his birthday, too, isn't it?
Today's his birthday.
I would have guessed the other night was his birthday at 37 points. I was watching that one. That was a fun shootout by one guy.
11 threes, which is an SEC record for a game.
Oh, here comes the run out again.
Frazier again for three.
The birthday boy warming it up.
To score in transition. You like dunks every once in a while, but how about a three from Frazier? How about two? Well, at one point in this first half, Kentucky had cut the lead to 20-16, but Florida playing with an awful lot of confidence inside and outside. They have dominated this first half.
There is a one next to their name right there, Florida, and they're playing like the #1 team in the country right now on their home floor. And, you know, Kentucky came in here trying to slow them down a little bit, but boy, they've got it going on all cylinders. And really, when you look at the starters, too, the starters other than Patrick Young haven't been dominating that much, and Frazier starts to warm it up. But the bench has done a nice job also for them.
Well, their lead is at 19. It's the largest deficit that Kentucky has faced all season long. Polson back in the game for the Wildcats. Andrew Harrison takes a breather. Aaron Harrison, Young, Randall, and Johnson in for the Wildcats.
Yeah, they go back into the zone right after a little flurry of offensive scoring.
They haven't had many field goals in this first half, particularly over the last 12 minutes or so, but Aaron Harrison connects on that one.
Yeah, now they need a stop or two to get some defensive confidence going. Now watch out for Frazier. You better not leave him.
Frazier, sophomore, averaging 13 a game. Finney-Smith strong with the basket off the mark, and Young with the rebound.
That's from behind.
Well, they're relentless right now.
And Randall's hurt, too.
And you get with the left hand.
Something's up with Randall. Look at him down there. He was the reason he was the only guy back after that deflection was he couldn't come back and run. I didn't see what happened to him, but something has gone awry with him.
Well, it's a 41-22 Florida lead. The Gators have absolutely dominated this first half. 19-point lead for the Florida Gators coming up on AT&T at the half. Greg, Seth, and Clark will get you caught up on all the latest scores and highlights, including which teams have clinched their spot in the NCAA tournament. That's coming up at the half. Julius Randle being looked at out on the Kentucky bench. This is what seemed to cause his knee to have some problems.
Yeah, and I think it's the right knee, too. And it's like, it looks as if he just came down awkwardly and jammed it on the floor, because I didn't see a knee-on-knee. I didn't see a real twist on that play. And he has struggled up to this point. Just nothing going for him at all in terms of being able to get off a shot or an easy flow to the basket there. You see a little bump to the right side, just not getting any good looks, and now he's got the knee to deal with.
Well, and obviously he has struggled today. Double team, triple teamed at times.
Right.
So is Kentucky on the offensive glass. They have only 2 offensive rebounds, and they have no second chance points. They traditionally this year live with the second chance points.
Well, they sure do. And I mean, you know, the numbers, they just stack them up. I think it's 15 offensive rebounds per game, and that's what happens with their second chance points. They get great opportunities. And you know, from a Kentucky perspective, try, and I'm saying try, to get yourself a couple of stops and a couple of buckets to get some squeeze on the scoreboard. And also, he's got to call a timeout sooner or later, doesn't he?
5-second violation. This defense is as good as the offense for Florida.
And the beauty of it, and John Calipari is seeing it right now, every time they catch you stopping at a spot. Now, he wasn't right up against the half-court line, but he was stuck against the sideline. He couldn't go anywhere, so there's an imaginary defender again. Billy Donovan's squad is very good at mixing up the traps and looking for the traps in the right spots.
Well, and when this place opened in 1980, they built it the right way because everything is right on top of the court. Finney-Smith for 3.
And think and the smaller places, and I think Cameron Indoor does this to a lot of people, it gives you the impression that this is a smaller floor. Everything is so tight that you can't turn. Well, they're relentless at the defensive end.
Randall back in, and his first bucket of the day as he forced his way through a double team.
And the fans here, and fortunately they don't give out whistles because I think every one of them would have tried to call it a walk on that play.
Yeah, they did give out blue and orange pom-poms, but no whistles. Frazier for three, no good.
It's a little pull down there, isn't there? Yeah.
Call that foul on Prather.
We've spoken. See the relentless defense right there, and this is a broken play. And that's the only time, really, that Randall has been able to get free off a broken-type play, because you've even saw it, too, at the end of that play, and it was a good catch. Double teams were coming because of the broken play. They couldn't get there in time.
Off the foul by Prather. Dakari Johnson to the free throw line.
He's only 49%, so...
Devon Walker checks in for Prather, who checks out with two. Young back in the game. You get checks out.
One of the things, too, Tom, that Florida prides himself on, the first half, they've held opponents to 21 or fewer points 8 times. So obviously at 24 points right now, it has been a big-time struggle to get past that 21 number even.
Scoring-wise, they're the best team in the SEC. They allow the opposition just 58.2 points per game. Whistle blows and a foul called on Andrew Harrison. That was a mismatch size-wise.
A little bit, yeah, just a little bit right there. And you know what? The mismatches are built into their offense, too. They know exactly why they get there. That's just because Patrick Young set a nice little screen and rolled to the basket.
Well, Young back to the line. Everything's going well for Patrick Young. He has 14 points. His season high is 17. And he's given Florida a remarkable 21-point lead here in the first half.
Yeah, and has been playing well recently, too. 4 out of the last 6 games, double-point scoring. The other 2 that he did not, he had 8 and 9. So that's kind of where he is. He's very consistent.
1:50 to play here in the first half. The #1 team in the country has come out and played like the #1 team in the country. Randall forces his way right to the rim.
And that's why they got to jump him right to the middle of the lane, because he's very, very good and strong at 6'9", 250. Bulks his way through the middle of the floor, but if you have somebody sitting there, it forces him to think a little bit and go to the baseline.
Florida has not used a timeout yet. They really haven't needed to sit down and chat about anything.
Yeah. If I'm Billy Donovan, I don't even want the television timeouts the way this is going. You look at Randall. Where's the double team? It's not there, so he can power his way across the middle of the floor.
It's almost as if he got into his move before Patrick Young could come down and double team.
Exactly, and that's the quickness in the thought process that he has to go through. But it's almost been every time a pass has gone in his direction, Florida has been cheating. They've been following the flight of the ball to him and following it with the body to double team him.
When the case seems unsolvable, Holmes and Watson seem to be at their best. Discover a new Elementary Thursday at 10, 9 Central, only on CBS. Bill, the freshman, makes both free throws, 6 assists, 1 turnover for the freshman. And the crowd goes wild because Jacob Kurtz comes into the ballgame. Kurtz averages just under 2 points per game. He's a junior from Haggerty High here in Florida.
Just can't do that. Johnson just steps out, broadsides the defender.
He just didn't get to the spot.
No, and a lot of times, I don't think he was getting to a good spot to begin with right there, but the guard has to sit back and wait until he at least establishes. So both guys making mistakes right there. And that's, I think, quite candidly, that's young kids trying to deal with a tough environment on the road, not thinking clearly.
Hill, Finney-Smith, Devon Walker, Young. And Frazier in the game for Florida. Young has it knocked away by Poitras. Aaron Harrison up the floor. And I believe
Might have been just knocked out of bounds.
I think it might have just been knocked out of bounds, yeah. The officials were going over the scorers table, so I was wondering if they were thinking about resetting the shot clock or keeping it where it is as a change of possession.
Yeah, whatever. He was swallowed up. A lot of people around him.
Well, they reset the shot clock at 29, and it remains Kentucky ball. Each team in the double bonus.
That's to come back to his left.
So now he's getting into a little bit of a rhythm. Yep. And that's good news for Kentucky if they can get him to evolve offensively. And there is the use it or lose it timeout for Florida. Billy Donovan has pressed all the right buttons here this afternoon. Well, Florida is trying to become the #1 overall team going into the NCAA tournament, and what a case they have. 17-0 so far in the SEC. They've won 22 straight games, and their 2 losses on the road have come by a total of 7 points. Some other notes around the college basketball. The Harvard Crimson, congratulations to Tommy Amaker, the first team to clinch an NCAA tournament berth. That's 3 straight for Harvard.
Right. And I think more importantly than Tommy Amaker, congratulations to our producer, Ken Mack. Very happy last night watching Harvard.
I think he was more excited that they defeated Yale on Yale's floor to go to the NCAA tournament. Wichita State already has done what Florida is trying to do, and that's go unbeaten in the conference in the regular season. See the difference between the shot clock and the game clock to your right. Whistle blows, and I believe Cauley Stein called for the foul. Well, things have not gone well for Kentucky. They've managed only 28 points, but they've made some youthful mistakes in this first half, too.
Well, they have shooting 36% and not many clean looks, that's for sure.
Hill makes the free throw. Frank Calipari has mentioned over the last couple of weeks how he's been on his team, coaching them from a fundamental standpoint. Jacob Kurtz back into the game. Hill checks out. Hill's had a pretty good last 10 minutes for Florida.
Yeah, and interesting enough, too, now see Florida coming up just a little bit. Well, Donovan wants to make sure they don't get a go-away bucket here into the break at the halftime.
See the clock winding down. It's down to 5. Harrison fadeaway jumper, no good. Cauley Stein has it stripped away, and that will do it. Florida finishes the final 8:51 on a 29-12 run. They lead at 49-21. That's the end of the first half. Now let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York. CBS Sports College basketball coverage is sponsored by Reese's, the perfect combination of chocolate and peanut butter. By LG, let LG help you do game day right. Official corporate partner of the NCAA Final Four. And by USAA, proudly serving the financial needs of current and former military members and their families. Well, when we arrived here at Gainesville, we thought we would just see a basketball game today, but instead we also saw a marriage proposal. A.J. Deaton, a Florida graduate, proposed to Amanda Rochford, who is a senior member of the dance team. There is Amanda. She's all smiles.
Fabulous.
And she did say yes.
She did, at that. Very nicely done.
We want to see if anybody in the next 2 games on CBS can top that by getting a marriage proposal. Hello, Jim Spartaco, I'm Tom McCarthy, and all those folks up above us, they've been loud today, and they've had an impact on this game.
Well, the beauty of being there next to them is that you get these props that are falling down, and this is giving you an indication who I think is playing like the #1 team in the country. Florida just really, really took it to Kentucky early in that first half, and Patrick Young established himself on senior day, came out, the emotions were tucked away until the game began, and then they really went after him down deep, and Young just putting together one of his best halves rest of the season.
Well, we wondered what kind of emotions these seniors would have for Florida. Well, Patrick Young, his emotions were positive. Let's take a look at the Reese's first half stats. How about the field goals for Florida? 16 of 26.
Well, I mean, they were getting just about any shot they wanted, and they really clamped down at the other side of the floor, 8 for 23. And even those 8 field goals that Kentucky had, they were a kind of an adventure each and every trip down the floor. And 19-11 rebounding team. Florida's a good rebounding team, and obviously they've kept Kentucky off the offensive glass with most of their misses.
Well, the 5 on the floor to start for Florida the second half, the same, including Patrick Young. Little difference for Kentucky. They'll start Dakari Johnson to begin the second half instead of Willie Cauley-Stein. Is there anything that John Calipari can tell his team about these first 5 minutes of the second half that might change some things?
Well, you know the option. They don't have an option to go into the bus and leave it now. They have to play this half out. And I think he comes back in all seriousness and just says, listen, guys, this is a test of your character. We have to find a way to pull ourselves together. Now, once again, he's talking to a lot of big-eyed kids who are staring into the Gatorland here, and it's a tough challenge for them to come back.
Offensive foul on Julius Randle right off the bat here in the second half. Randle got going late in the first half for Kentucky. John Calipari watched as James Young hit some threes early on that sort of settled things down, but then it opened up in the last 10 minutes of the first half. So first possession of the second half for the Gators.
Be interested to see in this first 3 or 4 minutes if Florida plays like it's an even score.
Patrick Young had a good look. The rebound by Randle.
Yeah, what I mean by that also, Tom, is don't start showboating because you have a big lead.
And you would think they are a senior-dominated team that they would take that approach, wouldn't you?
I would think so. I'd be shocked if they get out of their sorts and their sets.
Julius Randle has the last 8 points going back to the first half for Kentucky. And the battle for that loose ball out of bounds off Patrick Young.
Patrick Young took a shot down the other end playing the defensive side of the floor. Gets right back into the mix. And watch right here. I think he took one on the way down right there and caught a little bit across the face because he was slow to get up.
Full court pressure again by the Gators. They did this an awful lot in the first half, but it was really effective.
And here's where Randle can be at least a point forward to help break it. But I also like Billy Donovan extending the floor again. Keep his guys' energy level up and make it difficult for decisions.
Randle on the floor. You get with his defense, strips it away, and it remains Kentucky ball.
A little different player when he's going to his right also. A strong power player that goes to his left.
Now, as he progresses, Julius Randle, will he have to progress with that right a little bit more?
There's no question he has to, because you can anticipate it and jump him all the time and force him to use it.
Kentucky down 19. Randle scored the last 8 points for the Wildcats. Shot clock at 5. Harrison soft jumper. And Young with the rebound.
Young just trying to keep bodies away from him.
Tough needle to thread right there, but the foul will be against the Wildcats. Wilbekin's so good with the ball. We haven't really talked too much about him in this ball game.
Yeah, when you think about it in terms of what he did in the first half, I mean, he didn't get a shot off. I mean, and they dominated the first half. He had 2 assists. This goes to show you what kind of team we're looking at here. Has the depth and the energy level.
Well, Casey Hill came off the bench. He was explosive from a distributing standpoint for Florida. Wilbekin into the paint. Bounce pass to, look at that. Extra pass, one to the other.
And how about Wilbekin, too? That ability to probe, to look and probe and wait till something opens up. And that's the difference of what we're seeing in the guard play right here. The young players for Kentucky playing hurried, and Wilbekin playing like a senior.
It's kind of what you talked about in the open with our AT&T fast analysis, although that was away from the basket. That last sequence for Florida was inside the paint.
Exactly, and he's very good. You watch him. He doesn't over-dribble. He dribbles when he's supposed to. And they keep coming at you.
Prather got some opening over to the baseline, and he lays it in, and a timeout called by Florida. Their lead back to 21. They use a timeout with 17:30 to play. Elijah Wilbekin was kind of quiet in the first half. He was peering and then waited for the extra pass from his teammates. Was Princeton upsetting UCLA some years ago. Pete Carrill's last year as the head coach. There's nothing better than those first few days of the NCAA tournament and then the culmination.
Oh, it's a fabulous 2 days exactly to get things started, and it's just been a pleasure to be involved with it for now year number 17 for me. It's just been a blast.
Well, these two teams will be in the NCAA tournament. Florida in control here today, 53-32. And Kentucky gets the easy bucket. Poitras. Look at the bench points today for the Gators, 20-0. That's what you talked about before, about how they haven't worn their starters down. Frazier hot-handed the first half beyond the arc. Wilbekin looks up at the shot clock. Realizes he has plenty of time.
Yeah, Frazier was a big impact, wasn't he?
Sure was.
Shooting.
And Wilbekin to the basket, off-balance shot, no good.
2-on-1 break right now.
Willie Cauley-Stein and Harrison, and Cauley-Stein with the two-handed slam.
Yeah, good work right there. One of the few times that Florida has gotten caught napping a little bit because they were bringing everybody to the middle of the floor in the paint area. And a good breakout. Exactly what Kentucky needed to get an easy one.
And Kentucky now down by 17. They're 5 of 6 this half, and they force another turnover.
Another 2-on-1 if they hurry.
And Harrison keeps it himself and lays it in with his right hands.
That was pretty good work, too, defensively at the other end by Cauley-Stein, anticipating that spin move. He was staying right at home, waiting for it, perfectly timed, and all of a sudden you get a two-on-one breaks for Kentucky.
See the field goals right now for Kentucky in this second half. They've cut this lead to 15.
And what does it take to get a young team some confidence? A couple of defensive stops, we'll see how it plays out.
Wilbekin gets Cauley-Stein off his feet, but he shuffled his feet. Another turnover for Florida. Well, Florida is not in danger just yet, but their lead is whittling down. We'll see if they can hang on when we get back. Oh, the lead was 21 at the half for Florida. Their lead is at 15 right now. Jim, let's revisit our AT&T fast analysis.
Florida loves to keep the pressure on you with the basketball. Watch how they break this press when they come up the floor. Notice how the guard does not go up the right side of the floor. He goes to the arrow. Where does he end up? In the middle of the floor. He's allowed now to go left if he wants. He can go to the baseline with Young, but he kicks it out. So he's got 4 options there with 3 other players, right? He can pass to any of those guys, but he can then shoot. He can also drive it all the way, make a decision, but he's in the middle of the floor. Very, very good the way Florida runs their transition.
And we've always heard from coaches that a lot of times that slam dunk at the end of a fast break will really get the crowd into it. But hey, a made 3 can do the same thing.
Exactly. In the old days, you probably would have been taken out of a game without the 3 if you took a long shot. Everything was advantage. Go to the basket, go to the basket. Now they flare out and take those 3s.
All right, Kentucky has cut this lead to 15 with the ball. 15 and a half to play here in the second half.
Well, don't play to be a hero right now individually. Just be patient. Somebody's got to help.
Cauley-Stein with the high screen. Young with the pickup. Harrison spins right past it. Cauley-Stein offensive board. Doesn't get the roll. Randall trying to clean it up, and he does.
Well, you know, Randall wasn't going to miss that opportunity because he's all bulk. When he takes that basketball off the floor and gets it there, he's very, very good and dynamic in terms of finishing his shot. Watch right now in terms of Stein's kind of soft compared to Randall's power move up to the basket. Things starting to go in the favor of Kentucky right now.
So Randall trying to finish off this 3-point play. He does that, and it's now a 12-point game. Still plenty of time left in this one for Kentucky.
Yeah, and interesting enough, it was noisy in the first half, and it was a pleasant noise for these fans. Now it's kind of getting a little nasty again against the Kentucky players for their success.
Young, low post positioning, and he travels again.
Cauley-Stein out front. Poitras the second guy in. And what do? You look for the second guy and you shuffle a little.
James Young back in for Kentucky. Andrew Harrison checks out.
So this has been big, having Randall just break the press. Watch for Vanya, though.
too strong to take it away if he gathers it.
It's a 3-minute run for Kentucky, a 9-0 run during these 3 minutes with the ball. Poitras, off-balance runner.
And drifting at the same time. Tom Wright drifts away. Good help there by the bigs again.
Prather, and he'll go to the free throw line. That was a tough shot and a tough pass by Hill.
Sure it was.
Well, they watch every move you make, but can they stop you from being the victim of a crime? Don't miss a new episode of Person of Interest, Tuesday at 10, 9 Central, only on CBS. All right, now with the clock stopped and things calming down here at the O-Dome, Prather is trying to end this run by Kentucky. It's a 9-0 run. And he doesn't get the roll.
Isn't that the way it usually works, right? Now, John Calipari going to his bench again to keep some fresh legs out there. I like the way his kids reacted, though, in the first 6 minutes almost of this second half here. They could have easily walked out here. This is the second. They could have walked out here almost thinking that we want to get on the bus, and they turned it around. And they came out here and really put a nice little fight into their game in 6 minutes.
There's a 22-point lead for Florida at 1 point, 21 at the half. And now it's whittled down to 12. Johnson against Young, and a foul called against Patrick Young.
Yeah, the fans want to get that call, and especially those that are upstairs looking down on that play. It looks like it should have been a jump ball, but watch down below. The jump ball, there's one bounce, and watch right here. See, he's all over him body-wise, and then the fans upstairs look down and say, hey, we're looking for a jump ball. But the body action is what Johnson did very well, and he positioned himself to get to the line.
Almost seems as if John Calipari re-emphasized what he told us, to be aggressive. Now, shots are falling in the second half, so maybe that's why it looks better, or it looks like they are being more aggressive.
Right, exactly. And you know what happens now all of a sudden? As young players, you start to think, hey, you know what? Maybe we can play together here. Is the light going off for Kentucky? They're 3-3 in their last 6 games. And now all of a sudden they get a guy who's a 49% shooter from the line, knocking 2 back. What's wrong with that?
And to make it a 10-point game, it was 22 points at one point. Florida has now gone 3.5 minutes without a point.
I hope it wasn't the pom-pom that I brought out at halftime. I don't want to.
You better go get a blue and white one.
I'm not going to find one in this building.
Wilbekin misses the jumper. Young with the rebound, and here come the Wildcats. They can make this a single-digit game.
That little shuffle got away with it.
How quick he is, though. Wow. It is down to an 8-point game, 53-45.
You can almost see collectively, right, when you look at the Kentucky players. Now they got some bounce in their body. They're playing with confidence, the way they know they can.
Young inside against Johnson. Way off the mark on that one.
Defensive assignments have been almost picture perfect in this half for Kentucky.
Foul is going to be called on Casey Hill out front.
Well, look at Randall. It's a matter of quickness, power, and look at how he finishes to the reverse side just then. Young players can get lost in a building like this, and they did for a period of time in that first half.
Well, Florida's lead was at 22 in the first half, 21 at the half, but the Gators are 2 for 7 with 3 turnovers in the second half. And with Young on the bench now, Kentucky has a size advantage as we speak, width-wise and height-wise on the floor.
And I'm not saying Florida was thinking this, but they come out almost as if they had put Kentucky away in the first half. And they were going to have a nice senior afternoon here and prance their way through an afternoon of basketball. And one more bucket here, and they really are in a dogfight.
Particularly if it's a 3. Shot clock is under 10. Harrison on the line. Jumper no good. Cauley Stein with the offensive board.
Now watch for an open shot.
Johnson down low against Yeget. Powers his way to the basket.
I love the patience there, too, Tom. You could have... Young, I thought, was going to try to make a move out of nothing there. Billy Donovan is forced to call a timeout because he's recognizing, like we are, that this is very easy for Kentucky right now. Look at the bounce on their bench. They have appeared in the second half.
Well, there was a big bucket of cold water that was splashed on top of Kentucky at halftime because they have woken up against these Gators.
They sure have, and it's a comfort zone right now. And what I'm sensing is, Randall playing his power game. That's what he does. Harrison out front dictates some of the traffic from the standpoint of Andrew Harrison handling the ball very well. And look at John Calipari. He looks a little bit more calm, and I think that's going to be an influence. I've noticed over the last 2 or 3 games that I've watched Kentucky, there was a tendency for the Kentucky players to look over their shoulder when they made a mistake or it wasn't going real well. Now, all of a sudden, I don't sense they're doing that. I sense that they're having fun, which John Calipari wanted them to do.
At one point, it was 22-16 very early in this game. This is the closest this game has been since that point.
And you notice that the comfort level from Florida isn't as easy and comfortable as it was in the first half, obviously.
Yeah, it's not free-flowing as it was. Wilbekin for 3, it's good.
Well, we'll see how that ignites the crowd a little bit in their favor. They come up. And they got Randall taking the ball out. They want him handling it against the press. Under control.
Poitras for 3. The answer, no good. You get with the rebound.
Find your balance right here because Wilbekin will pick you apart if you're not ready.
Billy Donovan was talking about Wilbekin yesterday. He said, when I suspended him a couple of years ago, that could have gone in a very bad way, but it didn't. He has taken a total 180 as a person on and off the floor. And he said, and that's the point where he started to get emotional. He said, that's the thing he'll take away from this group of seniors.
Yeah, he's a candidate for Player of the Year in this conference.
And he's bumped at the free throw line with the shot clock at 7. Well, Wilbekin was very quiet in the first half, but when Florida needed something to quiet Kentucky, he sets back and nails the 3. CBS Sports college basketball coverage is sponsored by the 259-horsepower Regal from Buick. Yeah, it flies. By Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We'll pick you up. And by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. Florida's lead, which was at 22 at one point, is at 56-47. A reminder coming up next, Shabazz Napier and the Huskies hit it off with Rick Pitino's defending champion Cardinals. Then Nick Johnson and the Arizona Wildcats tangle with Joseph Young and the Oregon Ducks right here on the road to the Final Four. CBS Sports, 5 ranked teams, and then another team, Oregon, is going to be in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, Kentucky comes in as the 25th ranked team right into this ball game. They're going to be in the NCAA tournament. Where they sit seed-wise, well, Jerry Palm, our own Jerry Palm, has them as a 7 seed at this point.
And I think the best way to react to that is thinking ahead, which team shows up? The team that showed up in the first half here, or this one that's playing out for the first 9 minutes or so here in the second half. If John Calipari could get these guys believing in themselves and getting them on a roll, nobody's going to want to play them. But they have to establish that and prove that.
Florida with the ball. They just had a 3 from Wilbekin. Can they get another one? No. The rebound.
Good work there, too, Tom. 4 Kentucky players and the guard, Harrison, back to help out on the glass.
And the glass was a key point of contention in the first half, both defensively and offensively for Kentucky. They've been better here in the second half.
Especially on the offensive glass when they didn't shoot the ball only at around 35%, didn't really gobble up many second chance opportunities.
Randall, strong side, kiss off the glass.
You notice that a difference, right? In the first half, every time he caught the basketball, he had 2 and 3 guys around him. All of a sudden, Florida has made a difference in allowing him to go after it. Well, with 15 points.
15.6 rebounds, so he's on his way to possibly another double-double. Prather, what a quick drive.
It's the best way to stymie a run. A lot of guys will settle for outside shots. You want to continue to take it to the basket. Good things can happen.
Foul called on Patrick Young.
Because look what Randall's doing, right? He's taking it to the basket.
Well, we mentioned Kentucky and where they possibly will be right now. Probably a number 7 seed as we speak. That's some good wins.
Oh, they have. I mean, look, started with Louisville. Tennessee, obviously. That bad loss. South Carolina, they just didn't really play well at all.
And the RPI at 20 right now.
Right.
With a solid strength of schedule. Randall to the line, makes the first. Julius Randall, second in made free throws among freshmen in Kentucky history. John Wall made 175. Randall now with 16 points in the last 12 minutes. Boy, his motor's running, isn't it?
It sure is. And they know where he's going to get his points from, too. And it's always one of those things, a guy who is very talented, you kind of know what he's going to do, and you still can't stop him.
Well, we are halfway through the second half. And what was a 22-point lead for Florida is now an 8-point lead, 58-50.
Do not allow the penetration there in the drive.
Patrick Young against Cauley Stein. He's off the mark this half compared to the first half.
And I like the fact that Calipari has changed and has Randall handling the ball again.
There's not too many teams around the country that can say they can have a big man run the floor with the ball like Randall.
Yeah, how about Cauley Stein getting back just then, too? Young had a chance for a layup.
You get pushed away by Cauley Stein. 88 blocks, third most for a season for Kentucky.
And look at the timing, but you know what? Usually there's a guy who helps a shot blocker, and that was Randall just then, who kept the defender thinking about him first, and then second, the blocker comes in. Because he needs to refuel just for a second there.
Well, we saw him earlier go out with a problem with his leg in the first half. He came back rather quickly. Prather over the top will go to the free throw line. James Young called for the foul. That's his third, and the 15th foul.
Prather had 24 in that first game against basketball, up to 15 points a game.
One of the morning's most outspoken sports talk teams has been unleashed on a nation. Don't miss Boomer and Carton, weekday morning starting at 6 Eastern on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Jim, the progression of Prather during his career here, averaged 1.2 as a freshman, 2 points as a sophomore, 6.2 as a junior. Right now, nearly 15 per game as a senior. He'll check out. There came a point where Billy Donovan finally convinced him, stop just settling for the jump shots. Go to the basket. It's a strength of yours.
Right. And he's pretty good at it, isn't he? We've seen that here a couple of times in the second half.
The lead is at 10. Little zone now by Florida.
Yep. Got to drive by it, though. You can't just go around the horn, Tom. You got to go by it. There you go.
Harrison into the paint. Tips. Poitras fouls Walker. That's all he could do.
Yeah. And actually a good foul, I would think, too. You got to drive, but you got to be smart when you're driving. Good tip out right there. It's like an outlet pass, but it was a slap outlet pass. You don't want to give up a breakaway dunk in this building right now.
No, that may wake them up again.
Right, exactly.
They don't need a whole lot to be wrestled out of bed. Walker, 73% from the free throw line. Sophomore from Winter Haven, Florida.
Substitution for forward number 4, Patrick Young. And for Kentucky, number 30, Julius Randle.
Florida 2 of 5 from the line this half.
One of the keys right now, I think, too, Randall has 3 fouls, so he has to play smart and under control, especially handling the ball when he has it, and watch out for charges so he doesn't run somebody over. Back into the zone right here.
And they put Patrick Young back in the ball game, so he's going to try to consume the middle for the Gators.
Well, they come to the right side here. They can go over the top to Johnson.
Harrison up top. Witherton has him for the moment.
Now he's got to be careful. Good spin.
The extra help. The 3 is no good and out of bounds.
So that's where Randall has to be careful. They close in on him very quickly, so he can't think that he can spin and go right to the basket. He's got to be careful with that possible charge with this much time left.
8:14 to play. Are you seeing anything that you would want Kentucky to do different now that they've closed it to at times an 8-point lead, now a 10-point lead? Whistle blows and a foul called against the Wildcats.
I think what they need to do is still challenge against the zone and make sure, even though Harrison got caught that time drifting through, don't drift through the lane. Beat your guy, come to a two-stop, and see if you can make a play out of it. But the drifting won't get it done.
By the way, Aaron Harrison just picked up his 4th personal foul. Florida's going to be shooting for the remainder 8 minutes and 4 seconds. As Wilbekin with the front end of the 1-and-1. 75%. There's Aaron Harrison. He and his brother Andrew, the much heralded backcourt for the Wildcats.
And we'll see if Florida is smart enough to turn this last 8 minutes into a driving game rather than a jump shooting team.
They trap. And then Randall, as he's done most of the half, will bring it up. Foul right at the free throw line, so it's not a shooting foul. 7:58 to play here in the second half. Yeah, it's hot, it's sweaty, and it is tight. Gators are trying to become the first SEC team to finish 18-0 in the conference. Now, their shooting percentage has come down, but it had to. It was above 60% the first half. They've stemmed the tide here.
They have, and you know, you have to give credit to Kentucky, too. They had 11 turnovers in that first half. They were not shooting the ball well. They have 1 in the second half. They're shooting it at 50%, so they've made a nice run. Be interesting to see how both of these teams play it out from their perspective in the last 8 minutes here, because I'm looking for Florida to really come after Kentucky, right? And I think Billy Donovan obviously is looking to get this thing to 20 points again if he can. Let's see what the young guys in the blue jerseys do to react.
How do you slow down Julius Randle, who is 7 for his last 10 from the floor, and he's had a very good second half?
I think you go back to what you did in the first half. You double team them as much as possible, and they don't seem to be reacting as quickly as they did in the first half.
Florida's lead is at 22 at one point. Kentucky in this half cut it down to 7. Now it's back to 12. Under 8 minutes to play.
Young can't get a shot off. Wilbekin is on him like a glove.
And Young was the three-point guy in the first half of Kentucky. Loose ball, and Young's there to pick it up. Dakari Johnson, and a blocking foul. Count the bucket. That is a big foul.
It sure was, and it's a close one, too. It's a tough call. Yeah, you get maybe just sliding just a little bit, and also with his hands coming out. Gets over a fraction of a step quicker and doesn't put the hands out. Might have had that one go in his favor. Once again, Johnson going to the line right now. He's 2 for 4. That's his average on the year, basically.
And he's made his last 2, as you mentioned before, 49% for the season. He has 6 points overall.
Be ready to rebound if you're Kentucky.
Well, you get nice box out on Poitras. Florida trying to become, as we mentioned, the first SEC team to finish the regular season 18-0. Wilbekin, right side of the lane.
Well, the senior point guard there taking over a little bit, huh? Slow down here. I don't know what the official...
Well, I think there were substitutions that Kentucky wanted.
Delay of game warning.
And a delay of game warning.
Yeah,
Patrick Young.
So Patrick Young.
Yeah, I think this is smart right here. Getting Randall from not take the ball out of bounds. So he's now a release if they need him, if the pressure gets too tight. Well, you want to watch from behind.
He was sensing it, too. He felt Wilbekin in his back pocket. Setting the offense. His brother Aaron back to the game with 4 fouls. And there's that double team. So effective in the first half.
Yeah, fans are looking for a travel, and he walked his way out of that double team.
Harrison with 7 on the shot clock. A kiss off the glass. He has 6.
Very patient, too. And Randall's smart enough to give the basketball up on that trip.
Back to a 10-point game. The foul on Poitras.
See, they're in a shooting situation now, the bonus. It's one thing to foul when they're making a move against you to do some damage, but that one's kind of still going away, and you can't just fall out of control and get them back to the line.
Let's shoot the 1-and-1.
Well, it's 2 o'clock here in the East. Florida on top 64-54 with 6:34 to play here in the second half. A 1-and-1 opportunity for Prather. He makes the first. Hello, Jim Spinarco. I'm Tom McCarthy. It's been a great game as Florida's trying to run the schedule in the SEC regular season and win its 18th game. Don't forget, coming up after this ball game, UConn and Shabazz Napier will take on Louisville.
Yeah, after that first halftime, I think the rest of the field in the NCAA was concerned that can Billy Donovan's team play this thing out like they did in the first half, but Kentucky has adjusted.
Harrison from the corner, it's good.
38% or so there, but the Kentucky team looks much more comfortable, almost man-to-man they do.
So the lead is at 8. Closest in the second half was 7 for Kentucky. The fact they were down by 21 at the half and 22 was the largest lead says a lot for what they've been able to accomplish.
Playing at a different level, Patrick Young right now.
16 points for Young.
These freshmen have never been in an environment like this year.
This may be a great learning tool even for them as Randall forces the shot through the body of Young.
Well, Coach Cal wanted a call right there, a little out of control.
And Prather found the bucket.
That's the swing that hurts right now for Kentucky. They had an opportunity down there, and Randall a little out of control and go after it. This is what he does so well. There's the bump, there's the finish. Good call. This place erupts after this one. Nice reverse to avoid the block shot, too.
They say use that box on the glass to your advantage. Well, he went over the top of the box to use it as an advantage.
Plus the net and the rim gets in the way also with the defenders jumping towards it.
Prather with 10 in this half. 13 overall, 70-57.
Florida keeps it ticked up too defensively. Who was that off?
Might have been off Billy Donovan. He was really close to the play.
Billy sneaking to the baseline now.
Not a whole lot of room to inbound.
This is tenuous at best, taking it up the floor again right now. Harrison trying to act his way into a foul just then. With Frazier off him.
Johnson with the putback with the offensive board. So it's an 11-point game. Kentucky had this game to a 6-point deficit at one point in this half. The largest lead for Florida was 22.
Nice slip cut.
So much for recognition in this game. I mean, that is a clear sign of someone who knows what to do with the ball and without the ball.
And from two of the guys that you're really not focusing on maybe all that time. Nice two-man action out front.
18 assists for Florida on 24 field goals. The ball is stripped away. Frazier to the basket. Little traffic jam there.
Yeah, a 1-on-2 also. Watch out, big fella.
Aaron Harrison to pull it out, try to get a better shot.
Randall backed up and sitting down at the scorer's table, so they know they need him in here for every second from this point on.
Yeah, he comes back on the floor unless there's a foul situation. He's going to stay in the rest of the game.
Yeah, a little bit of a grab there, no call.
And now the foul called on Wilbekin. Well, we say recognition is so important in this game.
Yeah, it sure is. And Florida keeps finding a way to come back when they need a bucket.
Oh, Jim, it's time to take a look at the Capital One Cup Impact Performance.
you take a look at Patrick Young that trip and Pray the drive into the basket, and great opportunities for them. They're doing what they do well. This is a terrific picture that hope somebody captures that for them. That'll be a great one for them to think about it 30 years down the road.
Well, Florida seniors have a chance. The record is 117 wins. They have a chance, if they perform the way everybody expects them to do, to eclipse that mark. And don't forget, coming up after this ball game, Shabazz Napier and UConn at Louisville. That game is coming up right after. I saw Shabazz a couple weeks ago against Memphis. He was incredible.
He's averaging 18. Russ Smith is getting his 18. But how about the other point, too? The storyline with seniors. Louisville, 4 seniors on that squad. So who knows how that's going to work.
4 seniors who won a national championship a year ago. Young makes the first. He is 14.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in this next minute or so. He gets a lucky bounce. He gets a break somewhere along the line. Kentucky definitely needs one. Florida trying their best to put him away, but Kentucky just won't go away.
Now, is Florida going to try to ice this game, use some clock here, or are they going to keep their pattern the way we've seen it most of this game?
I think there's a kind of a delicate blend, if you will. You don't want to sit on it for too long and end up shooting random shots and 4 shots with 10 seconds or less on the clock.
Patrick Young rounds it home.
And if not, go to Patrick Young, who's just having himself a senior afternoon.
It's a season high, 18 points for Patrick Young. Point lead for Florida. Poitras to Johnson. There's that double team. Back to Poitras for 3. No good. And the rebound by Wilbekin.
They got the look they want. Poitras has been struggling a little bit with his confidence. But a good open shot right there.
Billy Donovan just put his finger in the air and yelled out motion to his offense.
Motion against this zone, though, is difficult. That's why they're going to have somebody parked at the free throw line right now. Finney Smith in there. There you go. They'll release.
They worked a lot on this yesterday. Shooting around. Also worked on Wilbekin. Let him hear it. Kentucky calls a timeout. The lead is back to 17. Rightfully so, that one of the seniors may have put the nail in the coffin. Well, it's one of the best seeds in all of college basketball. It is the last home game for the Florida Gators. You would assume they're going to get a #1 seed. They'll be in Orlando for the opening round of the NCAA tournament, so it's a quick trek for the people here in Gainesville. Their lead is back to 17. It was down to 6 at one point in the second half. And again, Kentucky trying to become the first SEC team to go 18-0 in conference play. Or to Florida trying to become the first SEC team to go 18-0 in conference play. Harrison through the paint.
Yeah, they're looking to push still. And a good pull-out. Bring it down, drive it through, and bring it back, work the clock. I think what you're seeing right here, Tom, is a team, because they have a great balance of senior leadership and depth, that they've come through a bunch of bumps in the roads over the last few years. And they know how to finish you off when they need to. And this is the last minute. Has been very, very well done by Florida, mixing it up, making good decisions, and really taking it to Kentucky to put them away.
79-60 the score. John Calipari sits down on the Kentucky side of the floor. Young covered well by Wilbekin. Johnson. And he'll go to the free throw line.
Yeah, so one of the things that starts to become a little glaring, right, is when you have a young team on the floor in crunch time, they're thinking, what do we have to do in terms of getting a win? And John Calipari has to go through that. And Billy Donovan's end is, we know what to do. And I think that's a huge difference in close games.
Well, for those of you who want to see UConn at Louisville, which is coming up after this one, you can watch it right now live at CBSSports.com. So the score at the bottom of the screen, 79-60, Florida on top of Kentucky here. Corey Johnson, 8 points, 5 rebounds. Back in 1981, the Kentucky Wildcats stopped LSU from being the first SEC team to go 18-0 in a regular season. They defeated them on the last day of conference play. Kentucky, with its vast history, has gone undefeated in conference play more times than anybody else. Nobody since the 50s has gone unbeaten in the SEC. That's what Florida's trying to do if they can close out the last 119. Wilbekin's had a great second half, 13 points. Plus, he's been the floor general that we've expected him to be.
Yeah, the one thing that starts, to surface with Florida, too, is, and I think that both halves are a good example of it also, you don't get the feeling that any one of these guys is concerned about who the leading scorer is.
That's the team concept that Billy Donovan's been able to preach. Numbers for the Gators. Wilbekin will pull it on out.
Well, they had some numbers, is right, but good decision. That's what everybody wanted. They wanted a dunk to finish this thing off. It took them an extra 5 seconds, but they got what they wanted, the crowd.
Lead is back to 21. The largest lead of the day was 22. Let's see if Billy Donovan lets the seniors say goodbye to the fans here. 43 seconds and counting to play.
He's going to do it right now.
Yep, he just called the timeout.
And the Kentucky folks don't like this, but this is the way you have to do it. If the shoe was on the other foot, John Calipari would be expected to do this and let this play out.
Well, it's a great seed. A victory today will be the 113th for this senior class. Hill, Frazier, Billy Donovan, the son in the game, Chris Walker in, and Devon Finney-Smith. Don't forget, coming up, UConn and Louisville. Right after this one comes to a close, you can watch it live right now on CBSSports.com. 82-63 the score, and Hill is fouled at the free throw line. Willie Cauley-Stein called for the foul.
Kentucky fouls on number 15. Willie Cauley-Stein, his third.
Well, there's a very good chance that these two teams will face each other again in the SEC tournament. Neutral ground, of course. Pretty soon, those seniors could put some white out on their one more to go.
Substitutions for court number 30, Jacob Kurtz.
Hill converts the free throw. He also has 7 assists. They've stayed together through an awful lot.
There's something to be said about seniors, right? Experience.
Hill will check out, 84-63. The clock winding down. Kentucky with the ball. Shot clock is off. Colson to Poitras with the slam. And Florida can just dribble it out. They become the first SEC team ever to finish 18-0 in the regular season. Billy Donovan's #1 Gators have defeated the Kentucky Wildcats 84-65. For Jim Spanarkel, this is Tom McCarthy saying so long from Gainesville. Final score 84-65. The Gators win it.